But a spot in the virtual world, because it's owned by you through an NFT, NFTs need not be just art, it can represent the land title in the virtual world.
To your belief system, who you guys are, there's a lot of strong, you guys are real true believers. So walk me through this idea of, virtual real estate, virtual museum, virtual, like, are you seeing that? Because I know you guys have created some kind of a virtual museum. Well, why don't you start on that first, and then I'll ask my follow-up question to it. You have a virtual museum and some virtual real estate.
Sure. So this whole journey of NFTs and the virtual world, I'm a huge fan of this idea of the metaverse, right? In general, definitely, I come from that world of Snow Crash, like Ready Player One, that kind of inspiration. I don't think the world needs to be that dystopian for Ready Player One to happen. But the interesting part is that like, instead of thinking about it as a like a replacement of the physical world or something, it's a borderless world, right? Like a borderless world of expression where there is very little censorship and things are unconfiscatable, right? So from that angle of being, see, it's a new Berlin, it's a new street, right? So historically, artists were able to talk to people directly, and over time, different countries have very different perspective on it, right? Like, I would say, who owns the wall defines what kind of society you're living in. So if you go to, say, I don't know about the US, but I don't know who can paint on the wall, right? Maybe graffiti is illegal, right? Or graffiti is frowned upon, but not punishable. There are different kind of rules. And in India, the walls are owned by the politicians, right? Like, walls are painted everywhere, but only the politicians have control over them, right? So you'll see their names everywhere. So it's very interesting as an image. Maybe next time you're in India, you'll notice that. And if you go to Berlin, the walls are owned by the artist, right? So it's a very different environment, and I think it talks to the generation, and talks to a different set of people, right? And the younger generation are always looking for some kind of defiance, right? And this defiance, usually in the physical world, could become violent and could create a lot of issues. But on the metaverse, what happens is, because of this free expression, it's all a graffiti world, right? It's a huge graffiti wall, and all these artists from across the world. It's not from there is no geographical limit here, right? So what happens is, a person from Japan might do a gallery, a person from India might do a gallery, a person from Italy might do a gallery, and there could be cross pollination of all these ideas, and then you all meet there, right? And you look at this, look at what is happening around you, and it moves you, right? Like it talks to you. So it's basically, we are just discovering art again, and that censorability is going away, and because it's also unconfiscatable, that means that spots in the metaverse, the virtual world, becomes like an address for the artist. So they could be thrown out of Twitter, thrown out of Facebook, right? But a spot in the virtual world, because it's owned by you through an NFT, NFTs need not be just art, it can represent the land title in the virtual world. So because you own it, no one can just take that away from you. And so you can give that as your address. A URL that points to the spot in the metaverse can be the address of an artist. So that you can find him, and you can let him talk to you through his work all the time by just visiting that URL again, right? So I think that's very powerful.